This session is part of our ongoing webinar programme looking at practical ways cultural organisations can get more from their digital presence. Today we're focusing on event discovery and how to design pathways that work for all your audiences, not just the regulars. I'm Kelly, I'm our Community and Partnership Lead here at Culture Suite, and I'll be the host today. And we're joined by Martin, our Growth and Partnerships Consultant, who will be leading today's session. He's been researching why people don't buy tickets and working with venues on practical ways to reduce the friction of discovery. A couple of quick housekeeping rules before we get started. Questions are very welcome. Drop them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. I like to keep this session fairly relaxed. And also today's slides are available to download via the handouts tab. They're also available to be requested at the end of the session if you want to. And if you're watching the recording, there'll be a QR code at the end of the slide so you can get them. Martin, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And since we have people from different parts of the world, I have learned to just say happy local time and glad you could join. Yeah, just quick note for those who don't really know Culture Suite, that company where Kelly and I work. We run a platform that runs websites for cultural institutions all over the world. And yeah, really kind of rethinking how websites are run, all run off a kind of a website as a service platform. So like you'll subscribe to other platforms, it's a fixed monthly fee. We enable people to update pages themselves, do a lot more experimentation, do a lot more active development on their website and have it be more of a part of their ecosystem. Platform comes with a lot of integration, so we work with a lot of different ticketing systems and CRMs and so on. We have a very dynamic way of displaying content and linking content up in new themes, new pages. So obviously that would facilitate what we're going to talk about today, but today's topic is something that anyone can apply to their website. As I said, Culture Suite is built for the cultural institutions, so all our clients are theaters, museums, multi-purpose venues, symphony orchestras, and so on. And as noted, we have this kind of vision that we really see the website as part of an ecosystem. So linking the website up with venue management systems, ticketing systems, CRMs, and then passing the data on from the website CMS to ad platforms, and these days also a lot of different AI tools and LLM platforms. And the AI platforms will also be a theme today, because a lot of what we are discussing and showing here today is really very applicable to ranking well, if there's such a thing as ranking in AI, but we'll come back to that. And as Kelly said in the beginning, you can access the slides in the handouts thingy up in the corner. If you're watching this from a recording, please just reach out and I'll send you the slides. A little bit about me. I always put in this kind of alert to say there is going to be some kind of behavioral science, because I'm a nerd about it, and it really kind of underlies it kind of sits beneath kind of a lot of the things I'm working on, the things that I'm exploring. So there will be some System 1, System 2 elements every time I do a session. So, all right, now to today's topic. We are going to look at how you can help audiences discover events through smarter website pathways. So as a bit of motivation for why this is important, I'll just run the thought experiment to say, like, what if one website visitor each day converted instead of leaving? That would equate to, for the Europeans, 29,382 euros per year, if we assume that people buy 2.3 tickets per order and the average ticket price is 35 euros. So yeah, with higher ticket prices, that would be even more. So just to say, like, one person converting every day, that is significant, significant revenue. So as a starting point, let's look at why some audiences need more than a what's on page. So first of all, clean what's on pages are great. I'm not gonna say get rid of the what's on page. Everyone, that is a kind of an, yeah, it's an anchor on the website for anyone who comes onto the website and understands or knows what they're looking for. So I'm not talking down the what's on page, I'm talking about supplementing it, because you will have a lot of people that arrive on a website a little bit unsure. It could be first timers, it could be students that are looking for something maybe on a budget, it could be like family unsure of kind of what events are relevant for me. Could be people with accessibility needs, or it could just be people who are curious and don't really know what they're looking for. So I'm going to now reference great research done by Dr. Patricia Stainer, German expert on audiences and behavior. She's looked into, well, I had a great conversation with her, and as she said, like, we spend so much time mapping out data on who's buying tickets, audiences that we know, audiences where we have the data, but actually very little work has gone into looking at why people are not buying tickets. So she did a lot of research on young non-visitors and looked at what she called barriers. And she said the marketing of theaters can itself act as a barrier for young non-visitors, because the language used provides no concrete guidance, presupposes substantial knowledge and interest, and in some cases actively excludes. So that's what kind of motivated all of this work. So again, like, going back to the what's on, if you're presenting content without context, that in itself can be a barrier. People will just see this page and go like, Die Fledermaus, Turandot, we have no idea. These are, it might as well be Latin, Greek, it might be just random letters on a page. We have no idea what this is. And when they're coming onto a page and exploring and finding these things that don't speak to them, they will drop off. And again, you go like, well, but we've got a what's on page and it has genre and it has location, it might have performer, it might have month, but all of these again require knowledge about what you're seeking. So they're great for kind of limiting and really searching out the things that you know that you're looking for. But if you don't know what you're looking for, or like these criteria are not kind of along the lines of what you're actively seeking, they do not really help. So what we found and what has been explored here is a lot of people think in situations. They don't think in categories. They're thinking like, I would like to do something fun with my kids, or I would like to, go on an affordable night out, or I'll like to try this. What's a good first time visit? Or, I'm just looking for something easy after work. So not really very specific to the artist or the play or something, but more kind of situational. And the website could help, but it often doesn't. So this would be a very typical what's on page, imagery and dates and a little description, but doesn't really it doesn't contain kind of the situational aspect. So luckily, there are ways to create ways in. So again, another one of my favorites, Ruth Hart, relevant strategist, runs the website Culture for Hire and really goes into how we communicate in industry. And she's saying like the people you're trying to reach aren't staying away because of who's on stage. They're staying away because your marketing speaks to a need they don't have. You're still messaging world-class artistry and cultural enrichment to people whose actual struggle is, I feel disconnected, I'm burned out, or I've forgotten what joy feels like. So they might be looking for something completely different, but you're kind of speaking from the situation or the perspective of your organization. So we spoke about barriers, but luckily there are also bridges. So again, going back to saying presenting content without context can be a barrier. So you guessed it, presenting content with context can be a bridge. So let's look at the bridges. So one of the best practices we found is to offer what we call ways in. And if you need inspiration, it's all around you. So if you go into your streaming service, you'll find that you have your picks, you have situational, like are you looking for music for, for background while you work, for focus, for a workout? Are you looking for a specific genre? So they try to, the content will be presented in so many different contexts. You might find the same songs behind some of these, but they will try to be situational if that's where you're coming from. The same with things like Netflix. It might be, hey, are you looking for a comedy? Are you looking for something new? Are you looking for something something romantic? So it might be more themed. So again, they will offer, in this example, you can see the Space Force fits in 2 criteria, but you're still offering different contexts for the same content. And just disclaimer, this is not my Netflix page, but I will admit that this is my New York Times cooking section. And I really, really, really like how they've solved this. So I have no idea how many different recipes they have. I'm guessing thousands and thousands, but let's look at the little banner there that you see at the top. Haha, Kelly. Well, it's also very, very dated screenshot. So, so New York Times Cooking, what you're seeing is that banner at the top. So they go, for instance, like if we go, what to cook, that's kind of like the situation is, I don't know what I'm looking for, inspire me. So like most popular, easy side dishes, what's in the newsletter, something like weeknight, different kind of a little bit of a random exploring, but something where you can just go in and say like, okay, let me just explore. I don't know what I'm looking for. Recipes might be some fixed criteria. I'm looking to make something for lunch, something for dinner. So it might be like I'm a vegetarian, so I have a very fixed criteria, and that's what I want to search out. It could be a particular ingredient, like the fridge is full of asparagus. What can I make with this? So again, offering a specific view depending on that situation. It could be a special occasion. Hey, I'm cooking for the World Cup opening game tonight, or I'm cooking for a brunch, I'm cooking for date night. So again, it's special occasions. And we can say, what would that look like in entertainment? Because now we've seen what it looks like with cooking. So think of this as, if you go again back to inspiration, that could be staff picks. It could be popular right now. It could be last chance. Those are close to selling out. It could be what's on in the coming days, or it could be what's on a budget. if it's a special occasion, you could say that could be a date night, it could be a first time, it could be I'm going out with my parents, I'm taking my kids. If it's a theme, it might be, hey, I just want to, see something romantic, I want to see something funny, or I want to see some of the classics, or something feel good. Or it could be a style. It could be like, I really like the visually spectacular, I like the text-driven, I like music, I like experimental, or I just like, short and accessible. So these are all just different themes that you can apply. And as before, an event can fit in multiple contexts. So House of Comedy might be a staff pick. It might also be on a budget. It might be funny. It might be good for a night out with friends, etc., etc. And what we found is that you have a lot of the context and the data in your other systems. It might be in your venue management system. It might be in your ticketing system. And all of this could actually be used to power some of these pages. So to give context to, like, you could add all of these tags to the House of Comedy event, and that could potentially just power some of these sites or some of these subpages where you're showing, hey, if you're here for something funny, or if you're here on a budget, this is for you. And there are a lot of organizations doing this really, really well. So let's look at some good examples. Here is Queen's Theatre in New York. They have a whole subpage on accessibility. So if you come onto the site and you go like, I need sign language interpretation, what events have sign language? You can easily find it in the accessibility section, and that's a single tag that they apply to their events, and they just flow into that subpage. The Denver Center for the Performing Arts, they do weekday matinees for students. Again, just tagging up and saying like, well, if you're a student and you're available or you're able to come during the day, these might be for you. And they're also less expensive. So that's another checkbox. Carnegie Hall, I love these. They have well-being concerts. So that's just a subpage where things that kind of fit this criteria, that it's easygoing, it's not a big orchestra. They also have a military and veteran discount section. So again, just offering up different context. Are you here for, low-key, nice listening, easy, then go to the well-being. Another one I love, this is the Dutch National Theatre, who have a whole section on if you don't speak Dutch. So yeah, it's just it's a funny context, but something where, if you're also serving a community that has minority communities, this might be really relevant if they're not strong in the local language. Berlin State Opera, another one. They broke down their entire season. So these are operas. And again, as I said, if you don't know if Tosca or the Barber of Seville or Madame Butterfly is for you, they are offering these contexts. So say, if you're a beginner, these might be the ones. If you want to take the whole family, these might be good examples. For the romantics, you want to go explore these. And the last one, I really love that one. For busy people, which is a very nice way to say, if you're not here for a 6-hour Wagner opera, maybe, do this one. If someone is forcing you to go see an opera, this one will get it over with. Here's a concert hall in Sweden. They have a very different aspect. They have, for the whole family, they have dance, they have audience favorites, they have latest ticket releases, lunch concerts, students, and local orchestras. Again, just rethinking how do we present this in a good way, and very kind of visual as well, which always helps. Ticket Omaha, one that we've actually been working with them on. So they had previously, they kind of had this sort of typical events on calendar view, but looked at their audiences and said like, okay, we want to have one for family activities. They did the fan favorites, so like highlighting some popular events, and then they had things that are good for date nights. And it's just been a really good way of experimenting, setting these up, and then starting to see, are people actually seeking out these views? Otherwise, you can change them out again. Here's the Danish venue. They have all different kinds of contexts. So they have the hot right now, which is what's selling these days. But they also have we recommend. This is free events. This is selling out, and this is family events. So again, just offering different ways of communicating. This is a Swedish concert house. They also launched their entire season and said, here's the youth series. So these are young performers. This is if you're classical music for first timers, if you're new to classical music. These are like the major soloists. And this is for you, for the young audience. H&T, the Dutch National Theatre, they just launched their new season, and they had some really, really creative ways of displaying it. See something you cannot stream, first fries, then theatre. Seeing talent is also a talent. In the rhythm from the algorithm. So really clever ways. Also did new series, Try for Little, which are the discounted ones, No Dutch, No Problem, or things to see with the family. I really like the way that they broke down their entire season, so you could go and kind of from a situational perspective, go and explore. And defining these themes, there's no right way. As you can see, these are many different ways that people take this on. And I always say you should go and do something that's along the lines of your audience, your DNA. If you have local performers, that might be something to highlight. If you're doing, as you saw, Ticket Omaha doing date night, or they did fan favorites. So there's just so many ways. And I always encourage you to go and see like, what's our audience like? What might be their situations? What's our content like? Of course, also like what's a relevant way to break this down and present it in new ways. And then there's the significant added bonus that every time you do a theme page kind of by the nature of a theme page gives context to the events that are on that page. So if AI comes upon a theme page that is for first timers or for a date night, that will really reference or that will provide a lot of context for how people are asking AI, because this is how people have these conversations with the AI or LLMs, is that you would come from a situational starting point. You wouldn't say, I want to see something with like on a specific night. Of course you might, but a lot of times people will come and say like, hey, I'm looking for something to see with my girlfriend, or like I want to offer some tickets or buy some tickets to see something with my mom or my parents. So that is how people are having these conversations. They come from a situation, and that means that if you fed the situation into the AIs, they will surface your events. A little bit about kind of what we've seen work, because there is no one way to do this. And it's very important for me to say, like, this is not, I'm not asking or I'm not suggesting that you should redesign your entire website. What we are suggesting is just add some small experiments, highlight, it could be a banner on the front page saying like, hey, are you on a budget? Here are some events for you. So try to just add some things, have them run for, or have them be on the website for a while. Look at the data. I mean, this is quite easy, and just remind yourself that what we're testing here is paths. So we're not testing necessarily individual pages. We are focusing in on how are people coming onto the website. Are they seeking out these ways in, these theme pages, these context pages, and are they then coming onto the event, and are they then making purchases? So small changes, but big learnings. We will always kind of suggest take some of these that you've seen again in some of the examples that I've shown. A lot of organizations will do some of the same themes, like first timers, date night, see with your kids, bring your parents, or on a budget. Those are easy to start with, and you can just see from the data if they resonate. Here is, speaking of, here is date night at the Met. So even the big ones are doing it. And what you want to do is measure behavior. So a little shout out to Capacity, who helped us map this out. What is it that you want to measure? You want to measure clicks. Are they clicking on the theme that you set up? You know, on a budget, is that getting clicks? Because that means that it's relevant. You can add event tags to themes to see how they move through. So you can actually in Google Analytics, you can actually track these paths through your website. And going back to the beginning, what we talked about, like one of the main ambitions of doing all of this is to reduce the number of website drop-offs. So you want to monitor that drop-off rate. If it goes down, you're successful. And ultimately, of course, look at number of purchases. And then again, going back, this is not something that you just do once and then you set it and forget it. I really encourage you to start, measure in its action, learn from those results, adjust if you need, and then just kind of, extend it if it works, take it down if it doesn't, or adjust if it's almost working. And just remember, it only takes one website visitor each day. If they convert instead of leaving, that is almost 30,000 euros, which is something like $32,000. So significant amount of money. We made it right on time for the 30 minutes. So thank you. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, public or private. We're happy to answer those. I will also just put up the QR codes for, we have an article on our website that explains all of this in depth. Well, maybe not as much, as many examples as I put up, but it really explains kind of how this, where this comes from and how this works in practice. There's a link to the Ruth Hart website. Always recommend people signing up to her newsletter. It's a really good one. And here you'll find Patricia Steiner's research. And it's in German, so you might want to turn on the translation, but really good content there as well. And please reach out if you want the slides.